So at the risk of being perceived as an alarmist, at the risk of sounding like the prophet of doom or being labeled a conspiracy theorist, I want to tell you this. I'm a student of culture and society. I don't know why. That's fascinated me most all of my life. I'm intrigued with what's going on in my world, particularly in the United States where I live and where I serve as a pastor. Because here's the deal. What I'm most interested in is morality and ethics as it relates to culture, because culture has an enormous influence on our lives and on the lives of our children. And so I'm interested in what is culture and what is society teaching us by way of morality and ethics, because we as Christians, we have a responsibility of living faithful in obedience to God, even when it may be contrary and unpopular to our culture and to our society. So I'm interested in our culture and in our society, and I'm concerned about something that I'm seeing more and more evidence of. I'm seeing it growing. I'm seeing it ramping up and increasing. I'm seeing that Christians are being pushed further and further out of the social conscience. We used to live at a time where Christians, they were always, sort of like the moral police with their, ancient beliefs about the Bible and Jesus and God. And for the most part, in history past, Christians were just seen as sort of an annoyance. Oh, here comes the Christians with all their virtue and all their, Jesus talk. But you know what? That's shifting. Now Christians are not just an annoyance. Christians are becoming perceived as the problem. That in order for a society to make its progress, a progressive society, we got to get rid of the Christians because they just stamp on everything. So a lot of what Christians talk about these days in relationship to an understanding of God is often perceived as hate speech. So we're watching a society and a culture push Christians out of the conversation as a part of the problem. And Christians are becoming more and more bullied into silence. Christians are afraid of being labeled. Christians are afraid of somehow triggering somebody's response in a touchy society. Christians are afraid of losing a job, or being called names. So what I'm watching is the Christian community grow more and more quiet, more and more careful about speaking up regarding the truth in relationship to morality and ethics in our society. And what makes that so sad is we get more and more silence. Christians are becoming more and more like the world that they live in because it's just easier. And you know what the grave danger of that is? Is the loss of influence that we have in the lives of the next generation. Here's what I'm watching being sacrificed as the church steps further and further into the shadows and grows more and more quiet. We're watching that the reverent respect for the holiness of God is being lost. We're looking for a God who just loves everybody with however they want to live. We're watching a thorough knowledge of the scriptures start to disappear, that kids don't even know what's in their Bibles as we replace solid teaching of the scriptures with all sorts of entertainment. A deep devotion to following Jesus is being lost. I'm talking about a deep, heartfelt, sincere devotion to Jesus and his ways. And a sincere compassion for the lost is being lost. And my concern is that as we lose it, we are not paying it forward to the generation who's looking at us, watching wanting us to show them, how do I live for Jesus and make a stand for him in my world? Because here's the truth. If we don't, they won't. So, folks, I can't tell you how sincere I am right now, looking at you as our church family, and I'm going to ask you the question. Will we allow the next generation to be lost on our watch?